Have you ever wondered why Pep Guardiola has dominated club football for the past 20 years? Or why, at the moment, Paris Saint Germain, under coach Luis Enrique, is almost unplayable? Or furthermore, why Real Madrid is the team that has won the most Champions League? Well, today I'll be digging into one of the biggest lies in modern day football. Yes, you heard me right. Biggest lies. The lies that you get to see each time before you watch any game. It's the formation lies. You are used to hearing 4-3-3 playing style, 4-4-2 playing style, 4-2-3-1 playing style. It is made to look at as if these are the formations that determine who wins games. But in reality, these formations are dead. They are no longer important in football. Football has now evolved into the hybrid player evolution. That determines how good a manager is, how good a club is, and that's what determines who wins titles. If you are an academy owner or a football fanatic, or just someone who's passionate about the game, or someone who wants to be able to read the game better and know why your team or club is not winning titles, or above it all, if you are a Nigerian who loves to banter, this is where you should be. After today, you will not see football the same way anymore.
Oliseh, oh, what a goal!
Hello and welcome back to Global Football Insights with Oliseh. My name is Omotoyosi AdeBanjo, and on today's episode, I will be discussing football and its evolution. Football used to be simple, but now it looks chaotic, or maybe evolution is happening. Sunday, let's unpack why this game has changed this way. Now, the first question I would love to ask is what or who is a hybrid player? Hybrid in what sense? Hybrid in terms of a machine or somebody who can do everything? What exactly is this hybrid that we've been hammering on and would like to know?
A hybrid player is a player who, on paper, plays one role. But in reality, once the ball is set in motion, they play two or three roles in a team. And the greatest manager who has been able to master this is Pep Guardiola. Love him or loathe him, his brain is extraordinary. In this hybrid playing style, I could take, for example, the fullback scenario. We're talking about players like Yao Cancelo, talking about players like Trent Arnold at Liverpool. Once the ball was set into motion, they drifted into the midfield, going from a fullback into the midfield and eventually playing the role as a midfielder, creating what Guardiola seeks the most, and that is to have numerical superiority. That is what the hybrid player brings. Today, the goalkeeper is also a sweeper. The fullback drifts into midfield. You have a central back these days that's getting into the midfield and playing up, pushing up. We also now have players that now evolve, even on paper as wingers, but at the end of the day, in the striker role and scoring the goal. One a good example is that Champions League final. Who scored the first goal for Paris Saint Germain? It was Hakimi.
Yeah.
He, on paper, was a right back, but
Mhm.
when the ball got in front of the goal, he was the one who just tapped it in as a striker. That is the hybrid player.
Okay, to back up how you've explained a hybrid player, in the last 5 years, the rise of hybrid players have completely changed the elite football that we know right now. And you mentioned UEFA. Based on UEFA's tactical reports, over 60% of top European teams now use at least one player who shifts position mid-game. And that leads me to my second question here, where we'll be going way back. Now it looks like there's the death to the classic formation. What went wrong with just being simple, the simplicity of the game itself? I mean, the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson won 38 trophies with just the classic 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 formation. Why did football suddenly shift from these simple tactics to the hybrid players?
Hybrid players is all about one thing. That is about being able to manage the evolution of football. In modern day football, you have pressing.
Yeah.
Due to pressing football, the team without the ball now forces the team in possession to be tied up because they kind of like limit the space that they can play in. The first person to really master this was a Dutchman called Rinus Michels.
Mm.
He introduced what the world then called total football. But in reality, what he did with the Dutch team was that he made players not be static and just play to their positions. They
Okay.
moved around. He was able to dominate football at the club level, but At the national team level with the Netherlands, they were able to win only one trophy. That was in 1988.
Yeah.
So that did not really sit well with people to look at it as the best playing style. But then the hybrid players already started. Rinus Michels coached Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff went to Barcelona, and it was Johan Cruyff now discovered Pep Guardiola from the B team and brought him in. So this is how the hybrid football grew to become the master plan of today. Started from Rinus Michels, then Johan Cruyff, who was his player,
Yeah.
inherited it and improved on it, who now was a coach and mentor of Pep Guardiola. The idea is to create numerical advantages in areas that you want to dominate.
Okay.
And that stops the opposition from being able to stop you.
Okay. So was the old system really that outdated, or did the new managers just make the game overcomplicated?
Now, the old system is outdated because
Oh,
if you're playing
you
pressing
agree?
style, no, the old system is outdated. That is
Okay.
why coaches or managers who play the old style struggle. It's one of the reasons why certain countries, like the Dutch or the Belgians or Italians, are struggling with dominating football at the moment. I will give you an example to understand this better. Let me give you the fullback scenario.
Yeah.
We're looking at is a team that is on paper supposed to be playing the 4-3-3 playing style.
Yeah.
Now, the moment they have into possession, they have four defenders, three midfielders, and
Three
three
attackers.
strikers, of which one of the defenders is the fullback. Now, the moment the ball gets into play, the fullback, for example, from the right side, will now glide into the middle. Let's use Trent Arnold, for example.
Yeah.
Will now glide into the middle, and that now leaves the team with three defenders behind.
Hmm.
By gliding into the middle now, he now populates the midfield more. They
Okay.
now become one player more in the midfield. And this allows players to now move forward. And these players that will now move forward are the offensive midfielders. They will now move forward. So at the end, eventually, if you're going to still talk of formations, when the hybrid player is put into motion from the fullback's positioning, you now have a 3-2-5 playing style. That
Okay.
means you have three defenders, two midfielders, and five strikers that are doing it. A perfect example of this is Man City, where the fullback like Walker drifts into the midfield, the
Yeah.
three defenders behind stay back, and then you have De Bruyne and they all move forward to now accompany Haaland in front, and now they now have five strikers to dominate your position.
All right. But let's be honest. This inverted fullbacks and hybrid role trending, kind of sounds like a tactical gamble. If your fullback suddenly drifts into midfield, just like you said, to add to the numbers, does that not leave this gaping hole on the flanks? When teams like City, Arsenal push so high, isn't there a risk of a counter-attack just too big, or is the reward, worth it?
The reward is worth it more than anything. Because what do you get when you play the hybrid style and when you play it well?
Okay.
You get control of the game. You dominate the game. And that control of the game now makes it difficult for the opposition to really hurt you when you don't have possession.
Yeah.
When you have this hybrid playing style, you are now able to dictate the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
To make you understand this better, if you look at when Pep Guardiola went to Bayern Munich had just won the treble.
Yeah.
They were playing a 4-2-3-1 offensive playing style. What he did was that he took the fullback, Philip
Mm.
Lam, and introduced him into the midfield.
Yeah.
Each time they had possession, and Bayern Munich became unplayable. They now had numerical superiority in defense,
Yeah.
in the midfield, in
Okay.
the attack, even to the point that at one point in Germany, they dominated so much with the hybrid playing style that by December, we already knew who was going to be champion. And we
Mm-hmm.
still have 5 months to play. Today, I'm looking at the technical and the tactical aspect of it. It also limits how you can hurt them defensively because in Guardiola's playing style, by a loss of possession is the ringing of alarm of trouble. We
Okay.
lose possession. Everywhere where we have the players in superiority, we go into pressing with that superiority numbers. So now they are attacking you, they are in superiority because they have overloads in those areas because they've pushed in up numbers. And when they lose the ball, because you are still inferiority in numbers, they
Mm-hmm.
now use those superiority to now press you and stop you from countering them. And they keep on dominating you.
Well, that makes sense, obviously. What we see now is really, really crazy. City, especially, as the perfect example. always have two midfielders drop deep, forcing opponents to literally just break their own defensive shape just to track back or track them. And this constant overload, constant pressure, just like you also mentioned. And before you know it, you're chasing shadows. Is this a real advantage or just creating chaos for the opponent to collapse?
So look at it like this. In 2023, City won the treble.
Yeah, they did.
What did they do to win the treble? They used the hybrid playing for formation,
Yeah.
whereby John Stones, who is a central defender,
Yeah.
in possession drifted into the midfield,
Mm-hmm.
and he became a central midfielder with Rodri at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes.
This presence of a player who's capable to defend, because John Stones is solid as a solid defender and
Yeah.
can also play the ball in the midfield, now gave so much freedom to Rodri to be able to now go very offensive and go box to box. And that at the same time gave so much freedom to De Bruyne, to players like all Haaland, to all the strikers and the offensive players to now express themselves offensively. What did this bring to Manchester City? They won the treble. And also, Rodri became the world's best player. This is what modern football is all about. It is now up to the manager to be able to craft out that hybrid player quality. If it could be one player, it could be several players. Because in the year Man City won, 2023, when they won this, they had
Mm.
almost 3 or 4 players playing the hybrid role. You had Stones doing it coming in.
Yeah.
You had also players like De Bruyne shifting not only as a central midfielder,
Yeah.
but shifting sometimes to even be on the right side,
Yeah. Like a winger.
like a winger. So it was all totally moved up like that and well orchestrated. You might like Guardiola or you might hate him or you might loathe him.
Yeah.
Of course, if your club has lost so many titles to this man, you cannot like him.
Or
You
taking
cannot
so
like him.
much beating.
You cannot like him. It is understandable. But from a technical and tactical point of view,
Yeah.
he is the greatest mind of football as a manager that the club sides have seen.
All right, we're still going to stick with the example of John Stones, and that's what will lead me to my next question. Someone like
Mm,
John Stones, naturally a centre back, is supposed to read the game like a centre back, right?
mhm,
But then
mhm.
is also supposed to pass the ball like a deep line playmaker, right? Now, this is two player in one. So, what kind of skill?
Hybrid,
Yeah,
hybrid.
exactly. Now, what kind of skill does that demand, Sunday? Is it something that only a Guardiola style or super team can pull off, or other middle table teams can also say, yeah, we can make this hybrid stuff work for us too?
Ah, I like this question because a lot of people argue that Guardiola is winning titles because he has near endless financial resources to buy what he
It's a
wants.
deep pit. Come on, you
It,
can.
yeah, of course. No, let's face it, it helps.
Yeah.
I want this buy. It helps a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
But why I would negate that assumption
Okay.
is that I partially also live in Spain
All right.
and I go to watch the Spanish local teams play.
Yeah, you said
Believe
so.
me, the third division teams in Spain try to play like Guardiola
Hmm.
plays. It's a cultural thing. Even the teams that don't have money, they have hybrid players in the team. So
Okay.
this analysis is aimed also to my countrymen. In the future, if you want to make money as a developer of footballers,
Yeah.
you have to learn how to develop and create hybrid players. What hybrid players need now is just you need a higher IQ because the movements have to be coordinated. But what they need mostly is a manager who will now decide who's going to be a hybrid, when, where, and how. That is what is going to make the difference. So, to answer your question plainly, it is not just a question of having the talent of passing the ball, of being able to defend.
Yeah.
You require also high IQs, and those intelligence of play is something you don't necessarily have to get just because you went to school. No, it's
Yeah.
something you have to get because of repetitions that you do at training sessions and what the manager brings to you.
All right. You already mentioned the fact that you also have to be intelligent because is
Mhm.
that not going to lead players to become half players, half computers?
Well, idea of player becoming a computer is like if you refuse to take this form, then you are one of those who keep criticizing these Gen Z children. The Gen Zs are this, Gen Zs are that because they think they know it, they think that. No, 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 no. The Gen Zs are humans
Yeah.
that have just improved on what they met when they met us.
Yeah.
These are people that have seen where we are, taken the best from us, and have
Mm-hmm.
added their own to suit the situation they're living with now.
Yeah.
Bring this also into football. Football of the past, during Alex Ferguson days, where he dominated, he played mostly the 4-4-2 playing style
Yeah.
with two strikers, and it dominated the football. But with modern day football, if you have to play this static playing style,
Yeah.
you will be dominated. You'll be dominated by teams who come at you with hybrid players
Yeah.
because your players will be static, they will be predictable,
Yeah.
whereas the hybrid playing style makes a team unpredictable
Mm.
because you don't know the movements the players will be making. You will
Yeah.
see it on paper. That is why I clearly made it clear to you. I revealed the secret to you. Forget whatever you see 4-3-3, 4-2-2, 4-4-4-1, four
Yeah.
seven zero. I don't know whatever it is that they call it. Everybody calls it all kinds of things now. Forget it and just know that that thing you're seeing on the paper
Yeah.
is just informative.
Mm.
That is the starting point. But the
Okay.
moment the ball is on, it is adapted, it is evolved totally, and it becomes a different play field.
All right. You also mentioned that you'll be left behind if you do not jump on this kind of trend. You also called on the likes of the Africans and, of course, our countrymen that they need to get into this kind of playing style to become unpredictable. So that means sort of it makes the European clubs or the European countries a lot more smarter than other continents in terms of this footballing idea, right? Now, the footballing clubs, or rather the European clubs, sorry, have built this
My dear, I don't
system.
agree. I'm going to cut you short. I have to cut you short.
Okay.
I owe it to you to cut you short on this one.
Okay.
Because if that was true, then the Netherlands would be dominating football.
Well,
If that
but
was true, the Belgians would be dominating football.
okay.
But why
But
is
like
it
you
all of
rightly
a sudden?
said, you said it originated from the Netherlands. I thought when you were going to even mention the first person to invent this style, I thought you were going to mention Johan Cruyff because that's the person we all know to
Yes.
really make
Hey,
this more popular, right?
packaging,
Yeah.
packaging. And
Yeah.
it is unfair. It is unfair to Rhinos Mitchell
Yes, yes, it
because
is.
he is the man. And if and funny enough, it's the only title that Netherlands has won
Mm-hmm.
as a country.
Yeah.
They won it with Rhinos Mitchell as coach,
Mm.
1988. But when you talk about the free playing style now, everybody talks
Yeah.
about Johan Cruyff, Johan Cruyff. No,
Yeah.
Rhinos Mitchell actually was the manager of Barcelona. He coached Cruyff at Ajax, went
Yeah.
to Barcelona as a manager,
Yeah.
and then brought Cruyff to Barcelona as his own player
Mm-hmm.
and won the title with Cruyff in 1974.
Mm.
So forgive me for I know you're a lady, you shouldn't cut a lady when she's speaking,
No,
but
Abba, you're the expert here. That's fine. But where does this
why did it,
leave? Where does this leave the South American academies now? Because we know most European clubs have their system built. They train them on these hybrid skills in from youth level now, because that's the trend now. That's
yeah.
if you're not on this trend, you're missing out. So you're not on the new thing. So where does this leave the South Americans, where we know this samba football? This is what they revel in. This is the development where every young Brazilian, every young South American player leans on their raw talent and creativity. Where does this leave them now?
I think you should also add in that where does this leave also African players?
Okay, okay,
Because we are kind of like tied to the South American
okay,
style also.
okay, okay.
And I'm in total like this is probably one of the best questions we can throw out there
All right,
that you have
all right,
just made.
all right. Let me
Because in the sense
restructure it
that
again.
how does this affect us?
Okay,
And I'm very happy you're asking me this question.
all right,
How it affects the South Americans and how it affects Africa is simply this:
all
is
right.
that in as much as you have hybrid players, you have
Mm,
to create players to be able to do that. If you are creating players or you are trying to develop players
mm,
coming from these nations have a style of play that is dying. That is, they don't give credit more to players who now do technical and individualistic stuff.
yeah.
In fact, you can create a hybrid player that is a fullback, but you create him to be a player that when he goes up front, he's able to take on a player one on one and dribble them and go past. So
Okay.
that doesn't stop, nothing stops the solution for Africans and for South Americans is to integrate now your own culture, your
Mm,
own techniques, your own strengths. Europeans play this hybrid kind of like a robotic kind of way because from the origin, when it comes to creativity and this instinctive way of playing
Yeah.
the
Thinking
game,
outside the
it is
box.
some thinking outside the box. It's something that nations from the south,
Yeah.
the sun has something to do with this. Nations where you have the sun,
Mm.
they're talking of continents where you have the sun, like in
Okay.
South America, Africa.
We're
If you
going
look
into
at it,
geology now
my dear,
or
I am going into
geography.
no, no, I am going into reality. I'm
Yeah.
going into reality. The reality of this is that the countries where you have the sun,
Yeah.
where the sun is dominant,
Mm-hmm.
these are countries that give players the opportunity to try out things alone all
Okay.
year round.
Okay.
The countries that have cold weather, the moment you go onto the training pitch, once the training ends, you all have to go inside. It's too cold to stay outside.
Yeah.
This is some little secret that I'm sharing with you now, but
Yeah.
okay, today is tactics. So that's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
If you are in a country where the weather is warm, and that's where the Spanish also dominate
Yeah.
because the weather is warm here. So when the training sessions are over, players still get to stay outside on their own to try out dribblings, the greens, the free kicks, the passing, and all the personal things, individual techniques that they
Okay.
need. That is outside the spectrum of what the manager is bringing to them.
All right.
That is why it is not a handicap that you have a hybrid. On the contrary, the fact that hybrid football is what is dominant now in football, in world
Mm-hmm.
football,
Mm-hmm.
this is an advantage, a trend that these poorer countries have to jump onto.
All right. So does this mean that some regions might fall behind tactically in the next decade, or some regions will be more dominant than the others?
And I think that what's just going to happen now is that, my dear, is that versatility is what
Okay.
is going to be playing now. The countries are going to be as good as how versatile they are. The
Okay.
players are going to be as good as how versatile they are.
Okay.
I repeat once again 4-3-3, 4-4-2.
Hmm.
I am a right winger. I play right wing. I'm this, that.
Yeah.
It is dead.
Okay.
That is totally dead. That is the biggest lie that is being shared now.
Okay.
Forget that now. And if you're playing any position now, you must be willing and ready to be able to now play not just one role, but to play several roles. Otherwise, you are in a dying breed.
Okay. If the future is hybrid, what happens to the specialists? The classic no nonsense defender, the classic or that pure destroyer midfielder, center back, that anchor that we always know. You used to be one, right? now extinct at the elite level. Or do you think football might eventually swing back to basics where simplicity just beats, innovation?
This is now a personal question.
Okay.
Now I have to
Yeah.
attack it because you said it
Yeah.
used to be one. In reality, what made me a player and able to be part of, at one time, rated as one of the best in the world at my
Yeah.
position
Yeah.
was because I was versatile. I was already a hybrid player
Mm.
because I was playing as a central defensive midfielder, but I could also go on the attack.
I can
I
say
could
that you are
pass.
ahead of your time.
I was just fortunate because it was just circumstances that pushed me into it. Because, like I said in the past, I was a number 10 that they converted into a central defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
So that means that I was already used to dribbling and doing already a second role.
Yeah.
And when they converted me to this one, I just learned it. So that I wasn't the only one that was like that in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Daniel Amokachi was like that.
Mm.
Daniel Amokachi used to be a pure central striker. Now, as at the time when we had Yekini and Amokachi playing up front, Amokachi turned himself, without being coached, into a hybrid 9.5. He
Mm.
started playing striker and also offensive midfield, coming into the midfield to recover balls and to go into attack.
Okay.
So you see, those of us who already started breaking up from the back, from
Yeah.
the past,
Yeah.
we were already hybrids, but we didn't even know it. And that's what made the difference. Now, look at Lionel Messi. If they ask you where does he play, he wears the number 10 jersey.
Yeah.
But no, Lionel Messi is not a number 10. Lionel Messi at one point was playing number 9 at Barcelona.
Yeah, he was.
They were calling him the false 9
False nine. Yeah.
because he would be on the 9, but he was in the midfield, he was everywhere.
Mm.
That was the same thing. Johan Cruyff used to be a number 9, putting on number 14 jersey. Rhinos Michels gave him the freedom to say, no, when we have the ball, so that they are not able to mark you out of a game,
Yeah.
I give you the freedom to roam.
Yeah.
So sometimes you go to play on the left side, sometimes you go to play on the right side. And the whole team all started playing it in the Netherlands national team under Rhinos Michels. And
Okay.
that's how the name Total Football came about. That means at one point you can have one player that is supposed to be a number 9,
Yeah.
but because everybody's changing positions and interchanging, he finds himself as the central defender.
Mm.
because of the change of movement. So
Yeah.
that is what it has always existed.
Yeah.
But if you are now going to be a player that you are fixed on playing one particular position, if you are a young player, just tell yourself, Mr. Sunday Oliseh said it. If you don't change
Mm-hmm.
in the next coming 10 years,
You'll be left
you have a
behind.
problem. You have a problem finding a club. That
Okay.
reminds me, the
Yeah.
best way to answer your question is this. It is already
Yeah.
happening. It has happened. Look at Pep Guardiola's teams. Look at the new team that is driving me crazy that I love watching now, Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
The way Paris Saint-Germain plays you, they have so many hybrid players on the pitch, you are forced to defend because you cannot plan before the game. This is the player I'm going to control
Yeah.
because you are planned to control him. The only way you cannot control them is you if you all also become hybrids.
Mm.
That means they are moving, you are all moving, and so that is what football has become at the moment. Hey, if you're hooked on these incredible stories and want more epic insights, smash that like button. Subscribe now to our podcast channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Share with your friends and join our community on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, X, and Facebook for exclusive updates and more unforgettable tales. Now let's get back to the episode.
So professionally, you've become a hybrid too, from a player to a coach. Yeah. And from those two comparison, now I want you to share your experience with us as a player under your managers then. How how did you function as a player under them, and the kind of free reign or level of freedom you were given as a player? Because this is where my next question is leading to.
Mm.
If every player becomes multifunctional, what happens to this next generation of coaches? Because the previous generation of coaches birthed the new generation of coaches that we have right now, the Xabi Alonso, Mikel Arteta, Pep Guardiola, and the likes, right? So what happens to our next generation of managers who would be under this same study of these guys? Would we need managers who are more like data analysts than, managers that would have to do the motivation, human like, and, kind of just in touch with their feelings?
To start with, let's take Guardiola out of this equation. In as much as Guardiola is still performing at the moment, Guardiola was already coaching in 2008.
Yeah, true.
We're talking of almost 20 years now.
Okay,
So
so yeah,
he's not in the category of all these
yeah,
Xavi
true,
Alonso's and
true,
all
true.
these Arteta.
Yeah,
Like you rightfully said, also in this in the past, Arteta was his assistant. In fact, Luis Enrique is not even in this generation. Luis
yeah.
Enrique was already coaching way back as 2008 also. So these are top managers,
Hmm.
that so it is just like it's not as if the hybrid is something that is now there is just started now. It's something that's always been there. The one that has always been that's been dominated quietly since 2008 have been the teams that have been able to become hybrids or to have hybrids in their own playing style. So how does that affect the modern coaches? Is that coaches now will maybe win once in a while, or maybe just win because the other teams are having some structural problems. I
Yeah,
mean, the other teams that do have the hybrid capabilities.
yeah,
If you don't add into your philosophy the intelligence and able to make your players play in this hybrid evolution style,
yeah.
you will be left out. You will not win titles. It's simple.
It's just simple like that.
Yeah. And to further buttress it, to your sim,
Yeah.
Paris Saint Germain last year won the Champions League.
Yes.
The year before, they lost almost all the top players. They lost Neymar, they lost Mbappe, they lost
Mm.
Lionel Messi,
Yeah.
one of the greatest players ever to play soccer.
Yeah.
And the world thought, oh, Paris Saint Germain is over now. But what happened afterwards was simply this: the manager, Luis Enrique, got young players, brought them in, and then perfected the art of hybrid players, hybrid evolution in several players.
Okay.
Dembele, who used to be a right winger,
Yeah.
was now drafted in as a nine.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was he a number nine, he was even a hybrid number nine
Yeah.
because he was dropping into the midfield as a false nine.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, this man was playing three roles: the right side, the central striker, and also as a false nine in the midfield and playing, and even coming backwards sometimes, even to almost be in the defensive midfield role. What did that bring about. As you and I are speaking today, Dembele is the world's Ballon d'Or, the
Yeah.
best player.
Yeah.
There is no other better explanation or affirmation of what I'm telling you now.
All right. So the question here is, can every football player become a hybrid player? Is it like there's a criteria to being a hybrid player? Is it that somehow, is it that you're born with it or you're not? You can't teach it or you can teach it?
No, you can't teach it. It is totally teachable. The essence of of the hybrid evolution is that you can no longer say my club will play 4-3-3.
Yeah.
I am the left back, and all I do is just defend on the left back and play ball forward. When you have playing a so-called formation that they have, no matter where you are placed,
Yeah.
you will not be playing just one role for the team. You will now be playing several roles. Let me share this story with you. When I left FC Cologne, I was bought over by Ajax 1997. I went to Ajax Amsterdam. When I got there, I met one of the most incredible players I ever met. He was so talented with the foot. He could give a long pass 30 meters, 40 meters. You could play him the ball and would not be afraid that he will lose it. In fact, every time we had the ball, he was one man more for us. Every time we lost the ball, he was our libero. He was able to play. Now, if I were to ask you who this player is, most people would think I'm talking about the legendary Danny Blind.
Mm.
But no, I am practically telling you that was our goalkeeper. That was Edwin van der Sar. When we had the ball, Edwin was already a hybrid.
Yeah.
He was a goalkeeper who played. He was our sweeper. When we had the ball and you made pressure on us, you know, we just give the ball to him back, and then you run into space. If they rush him, he will quietly play it to you. I'm talking about 25 years ago. So he was already playing what the goalkeepers are now doing now.
Now. Yeah.
So
And
he was already a hybrid.
yeah, the reason why I asked that was because we see players that managers try to teach them this, try to enforce this style of play. But we see
Mm.
players still leave the club or fall out from the manager because it's not just working. Maybe it's not just their thing. So, and while other players seamlessly fit into that tactics, that hybrid trend, maybe because they are just naturally blessed with it. And you rightly mentioned also Van der Sar, yourself, play multiple positions, and more Cachito as well. Maybe it's just inbuilt for some people that when you eventually teach it, it comes easy. And for those who don't have it, even when you try to teach them, try to make it practical, it doesn't just stick with them.
The reality is that if I am running an academy, if I'm running a football club, and I'm investing in developing a player because I want to win titles with him or because I want to sell him,
Mm.
and I know fully well this information, this privileged information I'm now sharing with you, that the world now, you need hybrid players to evolve. And a player is like this. He is like unteachable, uncoachable. The first thing I'm thinking in my head is, how do I get rid of you? Because I can't use you. I can't use you in the future. I can't sell you. I can't use you to adapt to playing styles.
Mm.
You become a liability
And not how you can help.
because you. Yeah, what I mean is, before you take the decision to say I'm getting rid of
Oh,
you,
okay, yeah.
is because we have tried to
Tried.
help you to improve it,
Yeah.
and we see that you are not really bending.
Okay.
You are just like a rod that is already cold.
Mm.
It's not like a burning hot rod that you can bend.
Hmm.
If it's not that way, then you have to leave. You see, so that what will now happen is that in the future, if you are uncoachable, you will be in problems. I mean, especially at the top tier clubs. Huh? I'm talking about clubs
Yeah.
who are up there.
So if this hybrid, of course, it's already a trend, if this becomes something even more global, are we not going to start seeing cagey games between top teams? I have a hybrid manager, hybrid players, hybrid tactics. My opponents do the same thing. Are we not going to see cagey games, or it's going to be even more entertaining?
I can guarantee you will not see KG games because the essence of having hybrid players is to give you numerical superiority.
Yeah.
So that means KG games when you get KG games, you become blocked. But when you have players that now play hybrid roles, that can play different positions,
Yeah.
different roles,
Yeah.
doing the same action, that can assume all kinds of positioning,
Yeah.
that will now make it difficult for any team to say we blocked the game. And a good example of this was that this is why the Italians are struggling.
Mm.
It is embedded in the DNA of the Italians, the Catenaccio football. That is defending.
Yeah.
And defending Catenaccio is all about making the game blocked, blocking every position, every situation possible for the position to hurt us,
Yeah.
and then countering to hurt them. But because of the fact that they are struggling with creating this hybrid evolution now, they have not been able to get out of it. And it's been decades.
Mm.
You know, the decline of Italian football started in 2006. Let's not forget it. And we are almost 20 years afterwards,
Yeah.
and they're still not been able to dominate like they used to
Yeah.
way back then.
Yeah.
So this is what is going to happen to a nation that is going to be like that.
All right. This has been great stuff. Thank you very much, Coach, and very, very enlightening. I think I'm also going to have to help myself now and become a hybrid woman.
Strategist.
Yeah, something like that. It's been great stuff. And to everyone tuning in, here is a homework for you from the coach himself. The next time you watch a game, don't just stare from the starting formation or graphics. Just make sure that once the kickoff starts, the referee blows the whistle, count how many players actually change their positions when their team wins possession or when their team loses possession. Trust me, you would never see football the same way again. And thank you very much, Coach, for always being here as always.
We have no choice.
Yeah.
Our followers are increasing, they are getting more and more, and we
Yeah.
thank them for it. And we would like to just remind them, those who are not yet subscribed, subscribe now. So each time we release something like this,
Yeah.
you are the first to get to know it, and
Yeah.
you will not miss out on it.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you for watching again. Hybrid players today. It could be even something crazier tomorrow. Who knows? Football just
yeah,
keeps football just keeps evolving, and of course, we love it. We love the beautiful game. I'm Omotoyosi as always, and this has been Global Football Insight with Oliseh, where football talks get real. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Catch you in the next one.